Okay, do you want to get your phone layer to airdrop mode?
Yeah.
Okay, there's the stream. Yep. We'll rename it. Name it something? Name the stream something. I don't know what to call it.
Accept. Leah, photographer.
Yeah, right in. And then I just need to get this link.
Delete all this, bro? You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got to. It's streaming right now.
Okay.
So we want to pause it. I don't think we can.
Okay. Okay. So.
Yeah, save it. That's literally. Yeah.
Well, no one's on, so it doesn't matter. Like.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I want to even share this to my Instagram.
Yeah, so just copy the link into your YouTube channel. So you go to your channel through the YouTube app.
That's true.
Copy link, and then just throw it into your bio. There's like a quick drop down, boom, and then just say, hey guys, we're going live. The link's in bio. We're live right now. You get the photos?
Yep.
Is that okay?
It's not like, not turtle, not super turtle. Oh my gosh, I just got one of them. Yeah, okay.
You should get like 5.
One's blurry.
One's blurry, you sure? It might be downloading still.
Do 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 do.
Oh yeah. Is it? No, it's not blurry. Wait, mine's blurry.
Own it, own it.
And then switching, do I literally just push on here, do I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But go open it.
Yeah.
I do that.
Oh, I can just go like that.
And then done.
Cool. Excellent connection.
Shouldn't I just rather post it when we have the actual sound from the studio? I don't want to go on each channel. I think I should.
It's up to you then. If you don't want to do it.
No, I'm not going to share it.
Alright.
Once it's on the proper YouTube channel,
Cool.
we'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No worries. Would you like to take a seat?
Yeah. Cool.
Let's go. It's
Yeah.
11:42.
You got to start recording.
Yeah, just hit record on here
On both. And the show.
and the show.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, guys, I'm rolling and Leah headphones. And
Test,
we're
test. Can
rolling.
you hear us?
Yep. Nice and close to the audio. You're a bit far away with your popper.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
No, push your popper closer to. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah.
Hello, hello.
Is this good?
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good from here.
Cool. Live and rolling.
Okay, cool.
Hi, Dev. How you doing?
Hey, Leah. How you doing? It's great to chat to you today.
You
Thanks
as
so much
well.
thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have you in the studio today.
It's always great to be here. You guys are a great bunch of guys. Dudes.
Yeah, and we got Cam pretty much operating behind the camera over here. He's doing a great job. Say hi to Cam.
Hey. Hello, hello.
So first, I just want to ask you, I guess thanks for coming down. Tell me a bit about how you started out in this career.
Photography or production?
Let's start with photography.
Okay, photography. I started really quite young, actually, about 12.
Yeah.
So it's always been something that I wanted to do. My grandpa and uncle and their friends used to actually have photography competitions where they lived on the East Coast in the States, New York, and so they'd go to New York City and with their film cameras, obviously, and all, scatter about and take photos, and then they used to have these whole sort of judging competitions and stuff like that. So it's sort of in my blood, and we did that when I was young, and then I did it in high school. Started doing film, developing all the history behind photography, printing, everything, and then I went to university. I went to Columbia in Chicago after high school for more photography.
Yeah.
And at that point, that was like 1998.
Okay, the year I was born.
Many years before you were born. Where film and photography were very much separate. And the school that I went to specialized in film photography, sound production, fashion. So we were just like this huge creative house of any party, any fashion show, any music event, any art gallery, anything was put on by our school. So it was really an incredible environment to grow up in. But it was very much photography, film, very two different genres entirely.
Yeah. I mean, before we cover film, I guess within photography, obviously you started before photography kind of moved to the digital, digital aspect.
I was in university the second to last year. It sort of came in, and we all thought it was just a phase, to be honest. To be honest, because I love photography. I love art, and I love technical skills as well. And that's why I mixed photography together, because I can't just sit there and paint. I don't have the patience for that kind of like stuff that like has so much like bleh. And so photography was very practical art for me, and technical, and that's why I really loved it. And I started taking pictures of bands and skateboarders and parties, and so it got me into a lot of shows and got me into a lot of environments that I wanted to be in. So it was like 90s punk bands, skaters. My mom said she wasn't spending any more money on film if I was taking pictures with boys with guitars and their shirts off. But hey, that's why I got a job, to pay for my own film. So I was at university right when the switch sort of happened. And we're like, no way, it's a phase. This isn't even photography. This is ridiculous. There's no skill. There's no craft. There's no because we would spend hours in the dark room processing film, processing the paper. We did the whole scanning, and I started Photoshop when I was 14, when it took you did one action, and it took 5 minutes to process that for you to realize it was the wrong thing, and then you had to wait 5 more minutes for it to revert, and then oh man, it was super painful. Well,
I mean, obviously moving from proper film photography, when you actually have to deal with your negatives, moving towards the more digital aspects of photography. For one, using film, you've got to be more precise with each photo, because film is pricey.
Definitely, and that's when I took a bit of a break from photography when I had 2 boys, and then I went back to school and got another diploma. And so I went back into school when it was just digital focused. But we did do a bit of film, but only for 3 weeks. And I was like, you have no idea how important all of this, all of your words in Photoshop, dodging, burning, blah, 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 that all comes from being in the dark room. All of these skills, all of the terminology in photography comes from the actual technical processing. So for you to miss that, I thought that they should have probably spent a substantial more time, because it really slows you down to appreciate sort of how it's framed, how the shadows work, how the composition works, and everything like that. When you're just banging away, it's and then the process really is in the editing, It's really any you could literally give a camera a monkey and they can just go literally
tap, tap, tap.
I went to this one studio and they're just oh yeah, we shoot 1,200 images for an hour session. I'm like, what? Are you just throwing the camera around? I'm like, max I can shoot 200 in an hour. That's insane amount. I was like, you're just shooting willy-nilly, whatever. So digital is great, but it's really, saving your images, whether it's on a hard drive or in the cloud, that is not your files will be lost at some point. Because technology advances. We had floppy disks to zip disks to CDs to do you know any of these words? No.
I actually do.
Do you?
I use floppy disks.
Good.
I remember those.
And all of that technology fades, and there's like all of your work on a CD. It gets scratched, it's gone. You know, it's just like, or it's in the cloud, and you know whatever is going to happen to those clouds. But when you've got the negatives, that's forever.
Yeah,
those are forever,
100%.
and unless they get rained on and then they get destroyed. But
No,
we won't talk about that.
unless the positives get exposed to light before you get to process it.
Oh yeah.
top
If it's yeah. Well, that's it. But once they've been processed, then and they're stored properly and.
But then surely, like this new generation of photographers, I feel like, do you agree they would have a bit of a disadvantage compared to when you were growing up learning photography?
It's
just because they can't take that very detailed approach to, okay, I got to be very careful pressing the shutter button because I'm going to go through film.
It's huge, and because the rates that photographers get paid have not changed in the past like 15 years actually.
Yeah.
So it's just like they don't actually appreciate the skill that goes into it, because a lot of people, they don't need that skill. They can get away with not having a lot and still give a product and get, you know, charge nothing for it. But it's a huge amount of skill and that goes into, you know, creating that emotion and that image that will connect people, just like in film, you know.
I thought like the biggest difference between film, and by film I mean like video and photography, is when you're taking photos, you've got one image that you got to make look as good as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
So film, there's more leeway.
Yeah.
There's more. It's more forgiven than photography.
Yeah.
While you take a camera and you point it towards something, you take a photo.
It has to tell the whole story.
It's got to tell the whole story in that one image.
And that's what I really loved, because I really love shooting really narrative type work, really colorful, really vibrant, really like I wanted it to be really emotive in one image, which I found really hard to capture in one image. And so I did actually go to school for film for a little while because I wanted to make music videos.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, maybe like a 2-3 minute video is kind of like a photo, but a little bit more, but not a film.
So then this transition from photography to film, you're telling me that it happened because you wanted to move to music videos?
Yeah, no, when I was like, after I left uni, I wanted to, I had so many people in the music industry when I was younger that I knew that I wanted to bring my sort of visual sense and style into their music and combine it with music. So I wanted visuals and music in one. And this is before phones, before all the editing, before whatever. It was just like, somehow I need to make this, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't want to make films ever. I just wanted to make music videos because I wanted to combine my love of music and images together. Really, that's what I wanted to do.
But then when you first started out going towards and going deeper into the film industry, did you discover maybe like a new love, maybe a new aspect of even like life that you've never seen before?
I feel that like I mean, you watch films and they're so amazing, and they are these incredible things that last, you know, an hour and a half or whatever, or short films, 15 minutes, half hour, something like that. But the amount of time that goes into like making a film, the amount of sitting around, the amount of preparation, the amount of everything, I was like, oh my gosh. So it was a huge process to even make like a 15-minute film or something, and there's a lot of sitting around.
I mean, oh my God. Like,
for me, I'm like, no, I can't. I can be like a day shoot, but I can't be like weeks. So
yeah, it can be a very challenging feat.
Yeah. So anyways, and now I do a bit of production because I love the whole organizing, and I've had so many years of experience of doing my own work, and I really I really like the whole aspect of gathering all the pieces and gathering, you know, different visions and putting them together for other people. So
which aspect of production are you involved in mainly?
Everything. I love location scouting. Because I have an absolute keen sense of, I've lived in the city for 20 years, and I've traveled extensively, so I just have such a sense of space and visuals, and if somebody says they really want, you know, this laneware, they need this color or this feel for a film, I just have like a library in my head already of locations that I can sort of pick out from people, and I really am very spatially aware. I'm very, like, if my space doesn't make me comfortable, doesn't make me feel a certain way, I get really, really tense, kind of anxious, and I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
And so I think that I can bring that into creating an environment for people, and sort of bring their visions to life.
It's funny that you talk about like getting anxious when a space doesn't look exactly the way it can be, because I guess my approach to filmmaking is kind of utilizing those emotions and using that as a tool.
Yeah.
I would place a camera and think to myself, okay, how does this feel? Does it feel like this shot, can it be improved?
Yeah.
Is there something that feels a bit awkward about the shot? And then I'd move from there to kind of, okay, we need to introduce a new light, or this light needs to be stopped down, or the camera angles maybe needs to come a bit higher up.
And lighting's a whole other science as well. I mean, photographers know that, but filmmakers, to be a really, really good filmmaker or anything visual, you really have to understand lighting, and you have to study classical painting and that kind of stuff, because really, that's what they did, you know. They really, really, really spent months and however long it took to create these paintings, just studying the light and how it
100%.
hit certain faces and how it created that emotion. And so if you can be a skilled light technician, that's an incredible asset for you as a filmmaker, because you can create any environment anywhere through light. Or any feeling you want through light.
I mean, like the whole thing of like high key light and low key light, it completely changes the emotional feel of a film. Like you want to go for something that's more comedic. Obviously, you go for the high key light approach, but if it's more intense, go for the low key approach. And then like even like shaping the light, you can have feminine styles of light, you can have masculine styles of lighting. You have to light a guy different than you light a girl. There's so many. There's so many incredible aspects of how to place a light.
Even for a simple interview, you know, just having a few like little backlights, creating highlights in the background, or, you know, the key light on the interviewee's face or whatever. Those, I mean, all of that stuff is so important when somebody just pops a light up, and like a lot of photographers are like, bang a light up, shoot it, whatever. But to create the sort of depth and the different layers from lights, it's very important. It's a serious skill that you guys can work on here, because you have all the gear. So. Well,
I mean, here in Sound Film Studios, we do have quite a few different lights.
You do, and you think it's just a square space, but you can create any environment you want in here, which is amazing. So. Yeah,
I saw this. There was this. What was it? A comedy series that's on Netflix. This comedian, basically, he was in lockdown. He was stuck in obviously in this like one room. So it gave himself the challenge over a period of 6 months to use this one space and create a whole TV series. Was it a TV series or a feature film? It was one or the other. But it was incredible, the amount of different styles of lighting and the way he could change this one space and completely create these different environments. And all he really used was just the lighting, moving around.
That's what I was talking about with Cam before, like where does creativity come from? And I think it comes from the lack of having what you need, or the lack of, like, he was confined to a room. He only had certain things. Exactly. And he somehow used his creativity, however people have natural, you know, it comes naturally, or however, just because they're going to go crazy and they need some stimulus or whatever. But that's sort of how I feel creativity is born, by being put in extreme situations, or, you know, having some, it's not, I mean, not that you need like dramatic life altering things to happen to you, but they're helpful for your creativity, that's for sure.
Yeah, I guess like obviously being on set, you got that creative mind, which it's very free, very free flowing, but then you've got to have that structured mind as well. Yeah. And having that balance between the both, it's quite challenging.
And that's why I like doing production, because for me creativity is exhausting. Like
Yeah.
it takes so much out of me,
100%.
especially if you're working with a crew, you're trying to communicate all of your opinions and like get them to work with one another. That made me lose my train of thought. What were we talking about?
So,
Nice one, Cam.
nice one, Cam. Well, that was actually Cam's very, very lovely
Way of
way of
saying.
telling us we've got to wrap up.
Good, that just
So-
broke my thought.
So, thank you, Leah, so much for joining us today in the studio.
Thanks for having me, Dad.
Yeah, and thanks, guys, for viewing it.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll do this again and,
We'll definitely do it.
have
We
a
will.
nicer way of breaking our train of thought.
All right. Well, yeah. Cheers. Have
Alright.
a good day.
All right, see ya.
Sorry,
Holy
guys.
heck.
I dropped my phone on accident.
That
I was-
literally made my train of thought go
Accident.
Yeah.
poof out.